Our next guest is no stranger to turning pain into power. Having once faced a debilitating injury that impacted her mobility, she chose not to be defined by her limits, but by her joy instead. She has gone to compete in national championships, share her story on TEDx stages in Zimbabwe, and dedicated herself to charitable work in Uganda. Her journey has become a blueprint of resilience for women and entrepreneurs across the world. An international speaker, best-selling author, and joy coach, she now runs her coaching practice from sunny Texas, helping people embrace life and business with abundance, purpose, and joy. With deep roots in empowerment and a message that reminds us to never lose sight of our worth. She calls herself a joy junkie, but thankfully, the only side effect is a contagious positive. We welcome to the NfG stage, Nikki Cruise. Good morning, Nikki.
Thank you very much. And it is such an honor and privilege to be here. I've listened to some of your other presentations and listened to all the letters behind your names, and have to tell you, in all honesty, the only PhD I can claim is as a professional hope developer. Happiness, but don't they come together? So, as I mentioned earlier, Nikki Cruise, known as the Joy Junkie, the self-proclaimed Jesus freak. So you're going to hear scripture coming out of my mouth. You're going to hear me refer to my faith. And it's okay if it's not the same as your faith. But let me tell you, there's some cool wisdom in the Bible, just as there is in so many other books. So stay tuned and listen, because what I've got to share is something I am so passionate about, not because it works just for me, but because of the impact it can have on you, your business, and your lives. What is it? It's joy. How can joy fuel your profit, your productivity, and your purpose? You might say, well, let me tell you a secret. Joy isn't just a reward. Joy is a resource. And you've all got it. It's something powerful that is inside you. In our businesses, in our lives, we've been taught to grind and earn and strive for things. What I've learned is that joy is my strength. And there's a scripture that says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And that means it's the very power source that fuels everything else. So most of us don't have a time problem. We may think we do. But what we actually have is an energy problem. And when you tune into your joy, that burnout starts to fade away. The distractions or the discouragement that has been slowing us down falls away. When you start looking at things with joy, you become more focused, you become so much more resilient, and the interruptions don't bother as much. Joyful people tend to be a little bit skittish. Have you ever noticed? One minute they're introducing you to their buddy Jibber here, and the next month they're giving you a serious minute, they're giving you a serious talk. Well, that's because joy does infuse us with so much energy. The other thing it does is it opens up your creativity. Ever noticed when you're joyful, how much more creative you become? Sometimes you'll pick up a paintbrush and start painting. But what about where your mind goes when you're happy? When you start having laughter? And again, the scripture that I really find feeds me every day is, you will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. And when I have that joy, there is that peace. And when you start bringing joy into the rest of your life and you have that peace, you know what the byproduct is? Your productivity soars. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, 4 years ago, I was still stuck in a wheelchair. And I got to the point where I had to choose to continue to thrive and strive every day to make the most of the day. But then I had to lay it down and stop thriving and striving and find the joy in who I was and in what I had to give other people, and find, this is the big pincher, gratitude. to fuel that joy. And when I found that, life became easier. And you know what? That joy brought about, I believe, my healing. And recently, I've had some health challenges. And at first, I was saying, can I figure this out? And I realized I don't have to strive. I don't have to try and meet with the pressures of things. I get to find the joy in who I am, what my purpose is, constantly bring that forward. Made it so much easier. And that joy becomes contagious. So let's talk about the money side of joy. There are so many tangible benefits to it. But when you are aligned with joy, the confidence you feel is magnetic. You've been around somebody who's really joyful, it's like you want to be in their space. And when you have that joy, your offers that you are making become authentic because you're working from a place from the heart, and your sales become soulful. They're no longer slimy and kind of meet a mark. They come from that heart place of joy. People buy energy, not just solutions. Let me tell you, joy is irresistible. Think of Richard, think of Santa. Every time they open their mouths, you just want to laugh and get in their space. And they're not the only ones here. I've seen it so many times in so many groups, and I run a JUMPP program, and I've seen it with my clients. What does JUMPP stand for? Joyfully Unleashing a More Powerful Purpose. 2 P's for 2 reasons. Number one, I can't spell. And number two, because I serve a God of abundance, so I get to have an extra P. It makes me happy. So, when we begin to look at why do you want to have more joy, it increases your profit. And I'm not just talking about your money profit. You're not pushing harder to get to where you want to be, but you're aligning deeper with your heart and everything that's in there. Purpose isn't found in that thriving and in your hustle. Purpose is uncovered when you look at your wholeness, not just at where you've got to get to, but everything in the journey to get there. So when you turn up with joy and you exude that I'm not here to perform, but I'm really here to impact the world, it makes a difference. When you start losing joy, you lose momentum. Ever notice that? Suddenly things aren't going as smoothly. And if you stop and look at it, you think, I've lost my joy. Let me tell you a secret. You cannot lose your joy. It's inside you. It might have been bundled up and crushed, but it's still there. And when things of the world get in the way, you get to reclaim that joy, reclaim your sense of mission and your purpose. Your clients, your team, your family, hey, even some people who don't know you, they need more of that joy. And they don't need you to be performing. They need that heartfelt joy. So just to recap, joy energizes your work. Joy has monetary results. Profit, we all love that little word. And the purpose of joy is that it realigns your heart. And all those three are affected by relationships. And let's face it, who wants to be in a relationship with a grump? So take your joy, go out there. You don't have to earn it, you inherit it. When you align your values and your faith with how you live and how you lead and how you build, that's where you find joy. So I know we're going to go into breakout rooms and have questions. So I took the privilege of preparing some questions. So those 3 questions are, where in your life or business have you traded joy for survival? And you might not have thought it was survival, but it is. What is one daily habit that you could change to invite more joy into your leadership? And that's one I want you to write down and take as a challenge for the week. So I'm going to go and cut this phone off, drop those in the chat. And I do have a little workbook called The Joy Bit. And I'll drop that in the chat too. Thank you all so much for your time and listening. I have so much pleasure being here every week, even at 5 a.m.